Today we discuss channel coherence time. Channel coherence time. So we denote it as TC. So in last class we have found that the correlation between channel coefficients separated by tau seconds so this we have found that the average received power times 0th order Bessel function of 2 pi fm tau, where fm is the maximum Doppler shift. So what is coherence time here? Coherence time is a period of time. It is a period of time over which we can assume the channel coefficient is constant. So actually the channel coefficient is varying from location to location or from time to time because of constructive and destructive addition of multipaths, but over certain period of time Tc, we can assume the channel coefficient is not varying. Whatever the value we found, that will be stays during the time period of Tc. For example, if Tc is equal to say 2 milliseconds, it means the found channel coefficient value, it will be, you can take this as constant for the duration of 2 milliseconds of time. So another way of defining the channel coherence time is that, so two channel the coefficient values, say h of t and h of say t plus tc, so two channel coefficients separated by time tc, so these two are highly correlated. It means if tc, if this is what exceeds more than tc, then these two will be decorrelated. So what I'm trying to say here is that within the coherence time period of time, the two channel coefficients are highly correlated. Highly correlated. The correlation may be, you can take it as either 90% correlation, or they may be what 50% correlated within the coherence time of interval. So if you observe this one, so if I plot the autocomplete function of the channel coefficient, so it will be a Bessel function something like this. Say for example, if I require say 50% of correlation is what to assume the channel coefficient constant, then the coherence time will be, so if you see for tau less than tc, the correlation value will be, for tau less than tc, the correlation value will be above 50%. So tc is our here what coherence time. So at 0 it may be the value p naught, at tc the value will be 0.5 p naught. So to avoid the confusion of this p naught, we can take the normalized autocomplete function, that is RH of tau is equal to by p naught is equal to j naught of 2 pi fm tau. So for 50% correlation, the coherence time Tc is equal to, so Tc, so we can write this as, so j naught of Tc, at tau equal Tc, the value of the correlation is 0.5. Then Tc will be equal to j naught inverse of 0.5 divided by 2 pi fm. If you calculate this value, the inverse function of 0.5, Bessel function of inverse point of 0.5, it may come as 0.3 pi divided by 2 pi fm, and this is equal to some 0.15 divided by fm. So if you need 50% correlation between channel coefficients, then the coherence time Tc will be equal to 0.5 by fm. If you see here, the Tc is, the coherence time is inversely proportional to the maximum Doppler shift, or it is inversely proportional to the velocity of the motion. So velocity of the receiver, right? As if velocity increases, the channel varies rapidly over time, then the duration over which you can assume the channel is constant, the duration will be getting reduced. So as the velocity increases, Tc will be decreases. So Tc is inversely proportional to the velocity of the receiver, the relative velocity of the receiver. So Fm is directly proportional to what? Velocity only, which is v by lambda. So Tc will always be inversely proportional to 1 by Fm. So the proportionality constant will be 0.15 for the case of our Rayleigh fading and 2D isotropic channel model, or for Clark's model. So we write this as what? So this is applicable only for what? Clark's model that we have discussed in last class. So for Clark's model, the orthogonal function is Bessel function. So for that purpose, the Tc is found to be 0.15 by Fm. The proportion constant is 0.15 by Fm, but both by empirical analysis and mathematical analysis. So a combination is taken, and Tc is found to be 0.423 by Fm. So this can be used to calculate the coherence time of the channel, and the proportional constant can be any other value. So that depends on the scenario, but Tc is inversely proportional 1 by Fm. So this 0.423 constant is arrived by both empirical and mathematical analysis. It came, and for Tc we will follow this expression. And if you see, so this is the variation of channel coefficient over time. This is T, and this side it is 20 log base 10 mod h. And for maximum Doppler shift 1 Hertz, the variation of the channel is very slow. It is slowly varying. And if you see the second plot, where the Doppler shift is, maximum Doppler shift is changed from 1 Hertz to 10 Hertz, then if you see the variations are rapid as compared to the previous one. And similarly, if you go for the higher Doppler shift, means higher velocity of receiver, then the variations are much rapid, and Tc will be reducing as what? It is Fd they are taken, but in our notation is Fm. So as Fd increases, Tc will be decreasing. So as Fd increases, so the variations are very rapid, and so the Tc over which you can assume the channel coefficient is constant, this Tc value will be what? Reducing as what? This Fm is getting increased. Now we move to another topic called as level crossing rate. So we now discuss the level crossing rate and average fade duration and average fade duration. So level crossing rate is, so level means here our amplitude level. So the amplitude level, or it is what in this case, the figure shows the diagram of time versus 20 log mod h. So obviously the level will be fluctuating over time because of the constructive and destructive addition. But what is LCR here? The level crossing rate is for a given specified level, how many times on an average the amplitude crossing this level, means going in a negative direction. So how many times on an average the amplitude level is crossing this specified level is nothing but called as the level crossing rate. For example, if this is our observation interval t, and if this is our observation interval t, how many crossings are here? Say for example here 1, 2 for this level, for this minus 10 dB level, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 by t is our number of crossings, so going in negative direction, and divided by the observation interval is nothing but what? LCR. So the average number of crossings per unit of time. So LCR is nothing but average number of crossings per unit time at a specified level. At a specified level is called as a level crossing rate. So this is derived for Rayleigh fading as, so LCR is equal to, for Rayleigh fading, so LCR is equal to root 2 pi Fm into rho into e power minus rho square, where rho is equal to the power of the specified level, which is r square, where r is the amplitude, r square is the power of the specified level in linear scale, and divided by the average power. So average power is nothing but RMS value square. So R is the specified level signal amplitude, means the mod h value square, divided by, means this is specified power, and divided by the average power in linear scale. This is nothing but what? Rho. So for this, whatever the value we calculate, that will be nothing but, so crossings per second is the unit. So that is the level crossing rate that you can find in problems, that what will be the level crossing rate for a given maximum Doppler shift or so and so, and the specified level is so and so. The specified level may be given as with relative to the average power, or average power may be given, absolute value of the specified level may be given, or the average power also may be given. Then you can take the ratio. Or it may be given that the specified level is say 10 dB below the average power. In such case, it will be in dB, it will be minus 10 dB. In linear scale, it will be 10 power minus 1. If, for suppose, specified level is 10 dB below to the average power, it means in this case, this ratio will be in dB minus 10 dB. In linear scale, it will be 10 power minus 1. So either relatively the rho value may be given, or absolute value of specified level and average power may be given. And if you see here, so as level goes decreasing, means here it is at minus 10 dB. If you go to minus 20 dB, the number of crossings will be reducing. So as rho decreases, means specified level is decreasing, then the level crossing rate will also be decreasing. So LCR is directly proportional to say rho. You can take it. So for lower value of specified level, the LCR will be a lower value. And similarly, if you see if you see the previous one, so where as FM increases, the fluctuations are very much rapid, then there will be what? No, there will be more crossings. For example, if you see this one, so if this is the specified level, and if you see here, these are the what actually number of crossings, and if the specified level is same as, like say for example, if I take here rapid, here fluctuations are rapid, so the number of crossings are here what more. So LCR here also, LCR is directly proportional to the, so level crossing rate will be directly proportional to the FM, because the velocity of receiver. So as FM increases, the fluctuations will be increasing and number of crossings will be increasing. You can compare these two. Here the number of crossings are less for the same level, and here the number of crossings are more. And by all of them, you can what? You can all of these observations, you can take this as a correct expression for what? LCR. It is derived in literature. That is root 2 pi FM into rho into e power minus rho squared. And there is another parameter that characterizes the fluctuations of the amplitude level, that is called as average duration of fade. Average duration of fade, or average fade duration. So if you see this one, so here some level is specified, that is this one. Now our modest value is varying like this, and if you see over this period of time, so over this period of time, the received amplitude is less than the threshold, or received power is less than the threshold, then thereby what happens is, so this is called as actually fade duration. This is called as fade period or fade duration. You can take it as either fade period or fade duration, where the received power or received amplitude is less than certain threshold or certain specified level. So specified level you can characterize by rho only, which is rho is equal to specified level r square by RMS, average power. So if you see, so what is the problem with this fade period or fade duration is, so we transmit bits in a sequential manner like this, and if you see random bits we are transmitting to the receiver, and during the fade durations what happens is all these bits will be received in error. So all these bits, so here all these bits will be received error. Why? Because during this period the amplitude level is less than the threshold, and thereby the received bits will be in error, and so it is something like called as we call them as burst errors, not like random errors. So they are actually burst errors, because a sequence of consecutive bits are in error. So such kind of errors called as burst errors. Random error means somewhere someone is occasionally in error, that is what random error. So because of this fading, so we will encounter with what? Burst errors, and we are now like to know what is this average fade duration, so that we can find the what is the average length of the burst. So we can find from there what is the average length of the burst error. So if you know the average length of the average fade duration, so average fade duration is nothing but, so here it may be T1 value, and here it may be T2 value. So here also what you can observe, the received level is amplitude is less than the threshold, and so during this period all the bits will be in error, and similarly here also it is T4, like that. So if you see here, see this one here, if you see is the observation interval T, and you can write the average fade duration we divide by T bar, that is nothing but what so sum of all the duration values, so Ta and I equal to 1 to n, so where n is the total count of total count of the what these fade durations. So 1 by n is what total count of the fade durations. So for example, in this case, t1 plus t2 t3 plus t4 divided by 4 is nothing but what here the average fade duration. So and if you see, whenever a level is crossed, then you will encounter with what fade duration. For example, here one time level is crossed, so here one fade duration is there, and here also level is crossed, so again what t2 we found, we get t2 time fade duration. So somewhere we can find relationship between LCR and this average fade duration, because for each time level is crossed, we will observe fade period. So how do you find this is, so we just write this one. What is the probability that the received amplitude R is less than a specified level R is nothing but what? It is the percentage of time. It is the percentage of time for which R is less than R. R nothing but what? So you can see here it is like nothing but the sum of the fade durations, where during fade duration the received envelope R is less than R only, and I is equal to 1 to say n. So the sum of all the fade durations and divided by the observation interval t. Divided by the observation interval t. This is nothing but what? The probability that R less than R. And we know LCR is nothing but what? Which is n by t, and fade duration, average fade duration is nothing but 1 by n sum of all durations, fade durations. So by using these two, this one and this one, we can write the average fade duration as the probability of R less than R divided by LCR. So by using these two equations, we can write average fade duration as probability of R less than R divided by LCR. And we know what is the probability of R less than R for Rayleigh fading. For Rayleigh fading, probability of R less than R is equal to 1 minus e power minus the specified R square divided by R RMS square, which is 2 sigma square. So that is this one. And if you substitute there, you will get like t bar is equal to, so you can write this as like this, 1 minus e power minus rho square. T bar is equal to 1 minus e power minus rho square. And we know the expression for LCR, that is root 2 pi fm into rho into e power minus rho square, that is equal to e power rho square minus 1 divided by root 2 pi fm 2. So this way one can find the average fade duration, and from there we can find actually the average length of the burst errors. For example, you get say t bar is equal to, for example, say you got t bar is equal to say 0.1 millisecond, and we got actually say the bit rate. So bit rate is equal to, say for example, 10 kbps. Then the average length of burst error errors, L bar is equal to, so that is nothing but the average fade duration into the bit rate. So that is equal to, here in this case it is 10 bits. So sometimes the number of bits present in a burst error may be 5, 6, 7, 8, something like that. But the average number of bits that goes in error when fade is occurred is, here in this case it is 10 bits. That is nothing but what? Average length of burst errors. So in this case it is 10 bits. We have some techniques to actually mitigate the burst errors. So random errors are what because of due to thermal noise we find, but the burst errors because of this channel fading characteristics of the channel we encounter with what the burst errors. So burst errors means nothing but the consecutive number of the consecutive bits will be in error. So that is called burst error. How can we mitigate these burst errors? Is we can use the concept of called as so by using interlevers one can mitigate actually the burst errors. So we use channel coding techniques before sending bits into the channel. So a channel coder does what? So this will be there in every wireless communication, that there will be a channel coder. There will be a channel coder, and what channel coder does is each k data bits will be mapped into n bit code word. So n bit code word, and so depending on the channel coding technique we will have, so there will be so we will have different error correcting capability. So depending on the channel coding technique we will have a different level of error correcting capability. So what is error correcting capabilities? So out of these n bits code word, so we have n bits here. If even one bit is error, so if error correcting capability equal to 1 bit, so this channel coding technique can do what? If 1 bit out of these n bits are in error, so this channel coder can correct that one, and it will produce from this one the same what k data bits. But if more than one or two, more than the number of bits are in error or more than the error correcting capability, for example 2 bits are in error, it will not produce again what the same k data bits. So the channel coding technique can correct actually the random errors, not the burst errors. So how we can use the channel coding technique to correct even burst errors? So with the use of actually a method called as interleaving or use of interleavers. So what interleaver does is it transforms the burst errors into the random errors. How? So it will be matrix, something like this. So interleaving, we will use the interleaving matrix before transmitting. So we will use some interleaving matrix. There will be now specified number of columns and there will be number of rows. So the data stream will be loaded. Column wise. For example, this is the data stream. So we keep that this as the column length, the number of rows length is the code word length, say n, and say for example n is here is say 6. So n equal to say 6. So these 6 bits will be loaded column wise, and next code word is this one. And the next code word is like this. So 0 1 1. So like this we load actually the serially coming data, we load column wise, then we transmit them row wise. So column wise we load them, but we transmit them in what row wise, say something like this. So all these are code words. So now we transmit them row wise, and we transmit them row wise. If a burst error occurs, what happens is, so a row may be gone in the channel, means because of the burst error, any one of the row may be what? Any one of the row may be lost due to the burst errors. Then, but once again, we what get back actually the receiver types. Here in the receiver side, we will have another matrix, and that will be loaded row wise. So this will be the first row will go here, second row will go here, like that. The serial data will be loaded row wise. Now, if a row goes due to burst error, but it happens what only one bit per code word only is lost, and that can be corrected by using its error correcting capability, and thereby what happens is the burst errors are what converted to the random errors. So by using what the interleaving matrix. So actually column wise we load and row wise we transmit. So one row may go due to burst errors, but that row causes only one bit per what a code word, and that one bit error can be corrected by using its error correcting capability of Chan coding technique. So in this case, the interleaving matrix dimensions can be the number of rows may be taken as the what code word length, and number of columns can be taken as the average burst length, the average length of the burst errors, that is nothing but what the average fade duration into the bit rate. So that is this class. Problems are given, you can solve them. Thank you.